What is up, and welcome back. If this is your first time watching, we are your Emerald Coast relocation team, and one of the main reasons that we did relocate into the Emerald Coast area was for our family. With that, we wanted to make sure that we are doing as much in regards to activities with our family as possible. And I will tell you, since moving here, we have probably spent more time with our family than we ever had before living here. And so let's go ahead and go over 10 great activities that you can do moving down here with your family. And the one that we like to do the most, I will leave it at number 10 position. But first, let's talk about Pon De Leon Springs. I hope I said that right. I had a little bit of an accent in it. I'm not sure if that's exactly how you say it. But what it is this natural springs. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive from like your Pensacola downtown area, and you're looking at about $4 per vehicle. It's a state park, and it's just this beautiful spring there where they have this crystal clear water that you can swim in. They have hiking and biking trails all around there. We haven't personally taken advantage of those hiking and biking trails. We personally just like to go up there more like in there, like right now in the dead heat of summer, kind of chill out a little bit, cool down a little bit, because the spring water is so much cooler. It seems like the water right now in the Gulf is pretty warm. It is refreshing, but it's nice to kind of get away. And it reminds me a little bit of being back home, back in the dead heat of summer back in Colorado. We used to always go up into those mountains to make sure that we could cool off a little bit, just to kind of get a little bit of a break from the heat. So that's something that we love to do when we are trying to get away from that heat, and then also just enjoy getting away from the tourism a little bit in the middle of summer. The second thing that we do love to do is the Blackwater River, and the main thing that we have done with the Blackwater River is tube down it, and you don't have to bring your own tubes. There are plenty of companies up there who will rent you tubes, and you're looking at, I'd say, about an hour-and-a-half to a 5-hour float down the river. It just depends on how fast you are wanting to go. If you want to make a few stops here or there, I think it was somewhere right around like $20 to $30 to rent a tube in order to float down Blackwater River, and we personally enjoy it. We've done it a few times with a lot of our friends, and it's one of those great things to also cool off and then just relax and just float down, be able to talk with your friends, be able to hang out with your family. Just one of those relaxing activities that you can do that's pretty darn close to the Pensacola metro area. Another thing with the Blackwater River though is like if you got the Milton River Walk, and during the summertime they have a lot of these almost like concert series where you could go there, and they have certain dates where they have like bands play, people are hanging out all along that river walk right there. So along the Blackwater River, this is something else that you can take advantage of outside of just doing those float trips down the river. The third thing, and this is actually one of the first things that we did do when we did move into the Pensacola metro area, is we are talking about gallery night. Gallery night is pretty cool because I feel like it really allows you to experience the downtown of Pensacola with your family and not having to really worry about that nightlife that downtown Pensacola does bring on the weekends. Gallery night is the third Friday of every single month, and I'd say if you are bringing your smaller kids down there, try and hit it as soon as it opens up, because it does get a little bit crazy afterwards, you know, with a few adult beverages. You have all the adults going out and having fun. So we enjoy gallery night. It's like you have a lot of like local artisans where they're talking about necklaces, awesome like signs, paintings, crafts that so many do have booths and they are selling. A lot of times what they do is they'll bring like high school artists and they'll be singing on a stage just to support that high schooler. It's a super cool time. We love doing it. We love enjoying it. One of the first things that we did do moving into the Pensacola metro area. The fourth one, we are going to be talking about that Naval Aviation Museum, and we actually just hit this for the first time recently. I didn't realize that it's free admission, and they just reopened it about a year ago when we first moved here, and it is such an awesome spot. It is actually what they claim. I'm not sure. I mean, you could always claim this all you want, but they claim to be the largest naval aviation museum in the world. They have all this super cool older aircraft that has been redone and just completely refurbished. They have like the set of like the older Blue Angels there, and it's just such a great, like our son personally, he loves just seeing airplanes. Like when we do, you know, the Blue Angels on the beach right around the 4th of July, he always loves seeing that. Anytime aircrafts are flying over, he's all about that. Just get up close and personal to these aircraft and just really looking at them and just feeling that history in it. It is such an awesome time, a great thing to bring your kids to. The fifth activity, and this one goes along with kind of those museums or historical sites, is we're going to be talking about Fort Pickens. Fort Pickens, we've been there multiple times just because when we have a lot of people who do come down and visit us here in the Pensacola metro area, like, hey, bring us to some spots that we don't have back home. We have a few history buffs in our family that like to come down. We always bring them out to Fort Pickens. It is so amazing to go there. Now, Fort Pickens was initially established like right after the Revolutionary War, I believe, and what it was pretty much to guard any foreign boats coming into the Pensacola Bay area, to really guard that naval yard. And then it was briefly used in the Civil War, but you could just feel that sense of history everywhere you walk. They got signs all over briefly describing like what this area was, what this was for, all the older cannons and stuff that are all up and around there. You get to walk all in through them and just really kind of see how cool it was, and how they had a bunch of cannons that were all throughout there, and it's so awesome to see and to really feel that, and just really kind of like bring yourself back into time a little bit and be like, man, what was this really like back in the late 1800s when this base was still alive and full of all these soldiers. I personally love history, and I love kind of thinking back to that. Wouldn't it be so cool if you could travel back in time and really see what this place did look like at its peak? It's an awesome spot to go. I will say though, in the summertime, try and go on a day where there's a lot of cloud cover, where it's a little bit cooler, because it can get a little bit hot out there in the middle of summer. You got the sun beating down. Even when you are walking in and throughout the tunnels and everything of this fort, it still gets pretty darn hot in there. We lucked out. We actually went back a couple weeks ago, and there's this huge storm. We literally were sitting in the parking lot with it storming on us, and as soon as that storm was gone, it was perfect because we were able to check out the base. Everything was cooled down, and it made it that much more enjoyable, especially in the middle of summer. Another thing about this Fort Pickens area is, and we did this for the first time, is you could park like on pretty much the most western portion of that peninsula right there. You park up there. There's only a few spots. I want to say there's maybe only a dozen spots up there between two different like parking groups, and we just walked around the entire point, where if you start on the most western portion, there's this bridge that goes over there. You walk the beach and you just see all kinds of sea life. Like we saw manta rays, stingrays. This is also where we saw some manatees out there. You see a ton of jellyfish. You see dolphins out there in the bay. This is just an amazing walk. I think it probably took us about an hour and a half to walk it, and we were taking our time. We have some small kids just kind of walking our way, but just enjoying this area. Another thing is, out there they have this pier that's right on the north side of the fort. We go out there, we go fishing out there. Our son caught a fish there. So many great things to do. I will say, in order to access this area right here though, it is considered the Gulf Islands National Seashore, and there is a fee. I believe it's $25 per vehicle. Since I'm a veteran, I get free access into it, but I think it's $25 per vehicle, and that lasts up to, I believe it's 7 days. So that's the initial fee that you do pay. There is no other admission when we are talking about going into Fort Pickens, but you are going to see some of the most beautiful beaches on your drive all the way out there. It's one of our personal favorite spots when we go out there, and to kind of really get away from the tourists when we are deciding to do those beach days. Before I do hit on that sixth one, guys, if you are looking at purchasing real estate in the Emerald Coast, make sure you give us a call or text at that phone number right below it there. We always answer. It doesn't matter day or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase and you want to learn a little bit more about the Emerald Coast, make sure you follow along by smashing that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. All right, the sixth one that we are going to be talking about is that Pensacola Pier, and I'm actually going to throw the Naval Pier in here as well too, because we've been to that one. The Pensacola one is the one that we visited the most, but if you want to see sea turtles, and Chelsea always hates it when I say this because she's like, don't say that, you're going to jinx us and we're not going to see it this time. We have seen a sea turtle out there literally every single time that we've went out on the pier. A lot of times you see the sharks, and it's crazy going out there and seeing like, man, I can't believe the sharks are this close to the beach where people are swimming, but you see the sharks out there. Usually there's a lot more sharks out there, like right close to sundown, but you see everyone out there fishing, catching their fish. It's a super cool walk, just walking out, because you're going like back and forth on every single side of the pier to try and see, is there a sea turtle, is there jellyfish, is there sharks, what are we going to really see out here? And so the pier is a great spot. I believe the entry for that is like, I think it's $225. 6 and under is free, which is awesome. But I think it's $225 per person, and that is for the entire day that it will last. If you do want to fish out there, I know the fees are a little bit higher when we are talking about that Pensacola Pier. But another great thing to do to bring your kids to, and really kind of look for those sea turtles that are out there, and they're massive, guys. I'm telling you, we brought some friends and like, man, I can't believe they're that big. It's such a cool activity to do when you are living in this area. The seventh activity that we do like to do as a family is, of course, that boating. Now, when I first moved down here, I was like, obviously the best boating is going to be out in the Gulf. we've been with friends quite a bit in the bay and the sound, and that's where we mainly stick to. And it's awesome, guys. Like, just going out there, you know, we stop the boat from time to time, do some fishing. We literally saw a dolphin giving birth out there. We saw a huge conglomerate of dolphins. I'd say probably between 7 and 10 dolphins, and they're doing the circle thing. This one dolphin like was flipping, it looked like it was bleeding. We're like, what the heck is going on? And as we were watching, we realized that one of the dolphins, the one that was in the center, was giving birth. It was amazing. But yeah, just doing that whole boating. When you're here, if you do not have a boat, you know, they have boat clubs here that are pretty darn reasonable. When we are talking about just being able to take that boat out and not have to worry about the maintenance of having your own boat, this has become one of our top favorites when we are talking about activities when hanging out with our kids and family. The 8th activity that we are going to be talking about are those Pensacola Beach restaurants. And you might be like, all right, cool, it's just food. What is that all about? When there's like a busy day at the beach, or even say if like the waters are a little bit too rough in the Gulf on the south side of Pensacola Beach, a lot of times we'll go over to the sound side, and you got Flounders over there, you got Whiskey Joe's over there, and our kids will just hang out in the sound. As we hang out, there's this little beach area behind both of those restaurants. You could hang out, you could go up, grab some grub, grab some food up there, and then also they got volleyball courts over at Flounders. Both of the restaurants have playgrounds for the kids, so the kids can go play on the playgrounds as you're kind of hanging out and eating. And then if you want to just cool off, you go down into the sound. And so this is something we love to do. We love playing like speedball, which is a variation. It's a way for us to get our kids, but since they are smaller, where pretty much you catch it and then you got to throw it over. So we play speedball over there. And of course, in off season, when there's not as many tourists here, you get to go there, and it's just, you get to have this whole area to yourself. Something that we do love to do with our kids, and we do very often with our kids. The 9th activity that we actually did do this summer was surf lessons. I personally didn't do this. I am going to wait until my daughter is a little bit older, but Chelsea took our son out to do surf lessons. It was like 3 days. They got a free hat, they got a free shirt, and it was just awesome. They kind of take you near the Portofino Towers down on Pensacola Beach, and they just have these surf lessons out here, and it is just so awesome to go out there, really learn how to surf. Apparently they teach you a little bit about marine life. They teach you about, you know, the beach, I think it's called a beach shuffle, you know, when you're checking for stingrays. But this is one of those great activities that actually Chelsea came back to me and she was like, you know, I want to do this every single year. It was that much fun. It gets our son and our kids more exposed to really be able to surf if that's something that they do want to do. And I know I'm not going to say that our waves here in Pensacola are anything like, you know, California or Hawaii or anything like that, but it is awesome just being able to learn how to surf, especially when we came from somewhere where, you know, you learned how to snowboard. Since our kids aren't going to be learning that, learning to surf was on top of our list, and it was such an amazing camp to do, one of which we are going to be planning on doing probably on a yearly basis. And the 10th, the favorite family activity that we do love to do here in the Emerald Coast is, of course, that beach time. This is something that we do multiple times a week, even during school season. We are hitting it on the weekend. We love going to the beach. We have all of our beach supplies set up and ready to go. We got the cart pulling it out there. We go out there looking like pros, you know, we got the canopy, we got the chairs all set up. This is one of our favorites. All the kids love to boogie board and then also skimboard on the beach. It's just one of those times that you can go out there, be out there for 8 hours, and it just seems like it goes by so fast. It is just pure serenity when you are going out to the beach. If we are ever stressed out, we always like going to the beach, and it just seems to melt away. The beach is by far our favorite family thing to do, and when you become a local here, you learn the spots to go to where the tourists really don't go to. So it doesn't matter what time of year you do go, you always do have that access onto the beach without it being too crowded. Alright, thank you so much for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate it. If you are looking at calling the Emerald Coast your next home, give us a call or text at that phone number right below. Right below it there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, make sure you follow along by smashing that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. Until next time, we love ya. Bye.